Hello everyone, I'm Ekaterina and our grammar topic today is third conditional. Let's get started and here is an example. Probably you know that around 66 million years ago a huge asteroid smashed into our planet. Almost all species went extinct and no animal bigger than a Labrador dog survived. And here in the picture you can see the moment how the asteroid smashed into the planet Earth. The question still exists, and scientists have been asking these questions for many years already. What would have happened if the asteroid hadn't hit the Earth? Asteroid çarpmasaydı, gezegenimize çarpmasaydı ne olurdu? What would have happened and hadn't hit? This is the form of the third conditional. If the asteroid had fallen into the ocean, some of the dinosaurs might have survived. This is what some researchers have been saying. Had fallen, might have survived. This is the third conditional again. So what we're trying to say is that the asteroid actually didn't fall into the deep ocean, so the dinosaurs didn't survive. This is an unreal, yes, so we're speaking about an unreal condition in the past. This is what the third conditional is all about. If the dinosaurs had survived, they might have stopped the development of other animals. Had survived and might have stopped. This is, again, the third conditional. It is an impossible condition and an impossible result in the past because we know what actually happened. We know that dinosaurs did not survive, and this is an imaginary situation, unreal imaginary situation in the past. This is when we use the third conditional. How to form the third conditional? Of course, we use if. If is defines a condition, right? We use it in all conditional sentences. After if, we use past perfect. I hope you remember that past perfect is form with had plus the third form of the verb. In the second part of the sentence, after the if clause, we use would have, could have, might have, plus the third form of the verb. Easy to remember, third conditional, the third form of the verb. 3. Yeah? We use it to speak, as I have already told you, about imaginary, impossible, or unlikely conditions in the past and their results in the past. Let us just compare the second and the third conditional, the present and the past. I'm not hungry. If I was hungry, I would eat something. Aç değilim. Aç olsam bir şey yerdim. Right? In the past, I wasn't hungry. If I had been hungry, I would have eaten something. So this is the situation in the past. This is the situation in the present right now. Yeah? Aç olsaydım bir şeyler yerdim. The view is wonderful. I would take some pictures if I had a camera with me. But I don't have a camera now. Yeah, this is an unreal condition in the present. And this one is an unreal condition, but in the past. The view was wonderful. I would have taken some pictures if I'd had a camera with me. But at that time, I didn't have a camera. Yeah, so I'm just thinking about unreal conditions now. Kameram olsaydı resim çekebilirdim. If I'd had, this is a contracted form of had. If I had had, yeah, this is what we are actually saying here. Okay, I hope the difference is clear. And now let's look at some more examples. If they had studied, they would have passed the exam. Çalışsalardı sınavı geçerlerdi. But if they actually did they study for the exam? No, they didn't. If you had studied harder, you wouldn't have failed the exam. Yeah, that's a similar sentence. You did not study enough and you failed the exam. This is the meaning of the sentence. If I had been more careful, I wouldn't have missed the deadline. Daha dikkatli olsaydım deadline'ı kaçırmazdım. So the meaning is that I was not really careful, so I missed the deadline and I'm not happy about it. I regret it. Sorry, but if you have informed me earlier, I could have submitted all the documents on time. So I'm giving an excuse. You did not inform me earlier, so I couldn't submit all the documents. Bana haber verseydim, bütün belgeleri sunardım. Zamanında sunardım, teslim ederdim. Okay. We also use the third conditional to talk about regrets, pişmanlık, to criticize someone, or to make excuses. Let's look at these 3 sentences here. Sorry, but if the plane had left on time, I wouldn't have been so late. Uçak zamanında kalksaydı bu kadar geç kalmazdım. What do you think? Is it a regret? So, am I criticizing someone? Actually, was I criticizing someone or something, some situation, or is this person is making an excuse? That's an excuse, right? Sorry. If I had worked harder, I might have got better results. What about this sentence? Is it criticism or is it a regret? That's a regret. Yeah? Daha iyi çalışsaydım daha güzel sonuçlar elde edebilirdim. Ederdim. Ya da if you'd listened to me, you wouldn't have got into trouble with the police. What about this one? Criticism, right? Yeah, I'm criticizing someone. Yeah. Beni dinleseydin polisle ilgili sorun çıkmazdı, right? Okay. Question. How do we ask questions in the third conditional? If we have a question word that comes first, yeah, what, when, where, in the second place we have would and then subject and verb. What would you have done if you had been me? And the if clause remains the same. Where would you have gone if you had had a holiday last year? Had, yeah? The first had is the past perfect had, and the second had is the third form of the verb have. Have, had. Okay. What about this one? If it had rained, would you have had the picnic? We can also start our questions with if it's possible, yeah? So it's a reverse question. And it's possible to ask questions like this. Would you have bought the same shoes? If we don't have a question word, the question will start with would. Aynı ayakkabıyı alır mıydın? The things, yeah, one more example is the example from the song written by Adele. she uses the third conditional a lot, and I want you to listen to this song now.
Never would have hitchhiked to Birmingham if it hadn't been for love. Never would have caught the train to Louisiana if it hadn't been for love. Never would have run through the blinding rain with that $1 to my name if it hadn't been for love.
Right. You can listen to the song in full on YouTube. And here is what she is saying. Never would have hitchhiked to Birmingham if it hadn't been for love. Would have, yeah, hadn't been the third conditional. Never would have caught the train to Louisiana if it hadn't been for love. Never would have run through the blinding rain with that $1 to my name if it hadn't been for love. The third conditional, again, unreal situations, imaginary situations, something that we cannot change, and we are just imagining what could have happened. That's a nice example of the third conditional. Please also remember about contractions. If I'd known earlier, I would have done something. I'd known, I had known, actually. Yeah. Please remember that we can use had like this, and you can see this kind of contraction in different texts also. Would. We do not use would after if. We do not say if something would have happened. We use would in the second part of the sentence, okay? In the other part of the sentence. If I'd seen you, I would have said hello. Please, the same with will. We do not use would and will after if. I hope you do remember about commas, that we use commas only when the if clause comes first. If I'd seen you, comma, but if the if clause is in the other half of the sentence, we do not use commas. They would have gone out if they hadn't been so tired. No comma here. A few exercises for practice. The first exercise, we have a situation here, a short situation here, and you've got to complete the sentences using the third conditional. Please pause the video now and do it on your own. Okay, now let's read the text first. He won the lottery, then he met a beautiful woman with whom they got married, but after a few years they got divorced because she met someone else. After the divorce, she took half of his money. Let's look at the sentences. If he hadn't won the lottery, he wouldn't have gained a lot of money. They wouldn't have got divorced if she hadn't met someone else. If they hadn't got divorced, she wouldn't have taken half of his money. The second situation. Let's read the text first, and then you'll have to write 3 sentences using the third conditional and using the information from this text. He had his first tennis lessons in primary school. He liked the lessons so much that he decided to join a tennis club. After long and enduring trainings, he won the local tennis tournament. A talent scout spotted him at the tournament and offered him a tennis scholarship in America. Eventually, he became the best tennis player in the world. So, any 3 sentences in the third conditional. I'm not going to give you any prompts. So, take your time now, please. Pause the video. Right, I hope you've done it. So here are my sentences. If he hadn't liked the tennis lessons, he wouldn't have joined a tennis club. You wouldn't have won the local tournament if you hadn't trained hard. You wouldn't have become the best tennis player if you hadn't been offered a tennis scholarship in America. Okay, so these are my sentences. I hope they coincide with the sentences that you've written. Let's move on. It is a rewrite. So you've got to rewrite the sentences in the third conditional, like in the example. I wasn't hungry, so I didn't eat anything. If I'd been hungry, I would have eaten something. Now please pause the video and complete the sentences on your own. I hope you've done it. Let's look at number 2. The accident happened because the road was icy. If the road hadn't been icy, the accident wouldn't have happened. I didn't know that you had to get up early, so I didn't wake you up. If I had known that you had to get up early, I would have woken you up. Number 4. Unfortunately, I lost my phone, so I couldn't call you. If I hadn't lost my phone, I could have called you. All the situations are in the past. That's why we are using the third conditional here. Karen wasn't injured in the crash because fortunately she was wearing a seatbelt. If Karen hadn't been wearing a seatbelt, she could have been injured in the crash. Yeah, could have been. Could have. Yeah, we also can use it in the third conditional. So we are not sure. That's why we use could here. She could have been injured. You didn't have any breakfast. That's why you're hungry now. If you had had some breakfast, you wouldn't have been hungry now. I didn't get a taxi because I didn't have enough money. If I had had enough money, I would have got a taxi. The first had is the past perfect. The second had is the third form of the verb have. Dan didn't do well at school, so he couldn't go to university. If Dan had done well at school, he would have gone to university. Right? And the last exercise that I want you to do right now is about the extinction of the dinosaurs. So we started with dinosaurs today, and we'll finish with the dinosaurs. This is a text about some things that could have happened if the dinosaurs hadn't gone extinct. So let's complete. We've got to complete the gaps with the third conditional. Let's look at the first paragraph. The dinosaurs probably became extinct after a giant asteroid hit the Earth about 65 million years ago. But what would have happened if this asteroid had missed? Scientists believe that in this case, dinosaurs would have continued to dominate Earth and that modern animals would probably not exist. Some scientists have even suggested that dinosaurs would have developed along the same lines as human beings. The general view is that perhaps dinosaur brains would have grown larger, but in general the dinosaurs wouldn't have changed much. Okay, the last paragraph. When the asteroid disaster wiped out dinosaurs, it gave mammals the advantage. Without that space collision, mammals wouldn't have stood much chance against the dominant dinosaur species. So we used the third conditional here because it's unreal past, an imaginary situation in the past, because we know that dinosaurs dinosaurs are extinct now, and they became extinct. Yeah, we know that. And you can see the fossils here which prove this fact. So that's why we used the third conditional in this text. So the things that I want you to remember is that we use the third conditional to talk about hypothetical or unreal situations in the past. Past is the crucial word here. We often use the third conditional to express regrets, things that we're sorry about, things that we are sorry that happened or didn't happen in the past. Okay, I hope everything is clear, and thank you for watching this video.